probably 50% of the work that I've been getting has been through Facebook. Even today, a lady who owns a swim school, she automatically thought of me, so she tagged me on, and I'm like, I've never met this lady at all. She did ask if I wanted to come and teach for her because she saw my ad. She was like, "Oh, come do some teaching." I'm like, well, no, because I've just started a gym. But yeah, and so she's just like, she tagged me because somebody was looking for a full person this morning, and I'm like, that's great. That's what we want to see. We want to see people thinking about us.
So Sarah, thank you for joining us today on the Gyms podcast. You're on the side of the road, which is great because it means you're out on the job, you're working, and we're going to get a really great interaction in regards to the questions we ask you because it's on the spot. You don't know what the questions are, and we're going to go over them. So don't be too nervous. We're doing this a lot. And the reason why we got you on is because Jim sends a 30-day email to all new franchisees. You respond with a great email about some work generation strategies, and you'll find it really good and all sorts of stuff. And we'd love to have you on to talk about what you do. So first, Sarah, do you want to just give a bit of an introduction about yourself? What were you doing maybe prior to Jim's Pool Care, and how's the experience been so far?
I've bought a pool care franchise in gyms. And prior to this, the last job that I had, I was an enrollments officer for a school. But before that, I had been working in pools since I was community council since I was a teenager.
Okay, wow, there we go. Is that what sort of prompted you to do this for a living, or what prompted you to make the change?
Both my husband, we both were wanting something that was ours, but we also were we just felt that we wanted the backing of a franchise, and we were like, well, this is known and trusted method. And if we follow this, then it should work. So that was one of the reasons. And then when we were looking at all the different options, we looked at the carpet cleaning. I'm only 4'11", so I'm really small. And so I needed to be able to physically do the job as well as, I wanted a challenge. I was I'd gone into the school admin stuff because our son has a disability. And so I needed to be really flexible for his appointments. When you work in council pools and things like that, you've got to be able to work from 5 until 7 at night. And I couldn't do that. That's why I'd gone around to that. But I was bored out of my brain. So I was like, I want a challenge. And so, yeah, I was like, oh, this is perfect. This gets me to get to have my pool element that I love, but the challenge of running your own business and things.
That's it. And how did you find the training? Who would have come down from Melbourne for the training experience?
Oh, I was so gamified. It was like, woo!
Jim, I love that you use that word because that's what we do say. So that's a fantastic one.
Oh, no.
But yeah, so in your email to Jim, what he was impressed with was you built your business with some Facebook marketing strategies, which I think would be great for you to share. So you want to talk about how you've done it, and maybe just talk about some of the ways you've been able to build your customer base.
So I've been doing marketing for a lot of different businesses over my period of time, and I just find that, or how I wanted to target it, was that I wanted people to feel like I was part of their community. And so by joining their Facebook groups in the area that I'm Burpengary, so I was joining every single one that I could find, and then targeting them with when you're allowed to put up the ads, but also looking for them, their information, like when they're saying, well, I want a pool person. But on top of that, also making sure, because they're not going to want you sitting on their page just pumping ads out them. You have to be giving back as well. So I'm having to make sure I add that conversation in there. But then that means they're getting to know me, and they're like, oh, that's right, Sarah's the pool girl. That's right, she's with Jim. That's who we contact. And then from that, I've expanded that to basically I've created a group for the Burpengary area. So all of the gyms people from the area are now in a group, and every time we see a post that relates to something, so say the carpet cleaning guy, if I see a post for them, firstly we write, we'll say something like, we recommend Jim's carpet cleaning, and we'll tag the person, but we also screenshot the ad or the promo and we post it into our little group and we tag the person, so then they can go in, private message that person, and hopefully win the lead.
I made a note of that because I'm going to talk about that in training. So I do talk about local groups in training, but I didn't talk about that initiative you did, which is really, really good. So
we're still growing and we're still getting more people to join.
So what's it called? Is like Burpengary. What have you called the actual group?
At the moment, I haven't, because there's only, as I'm calling around, we've got Burpengary, but then there's a car, the closest car detailer is Narangba. And I felt wrong in saying it was just for Burpengary, because I was like, well, then what's he going to see it as benefiting me calling it Narangba? So we've just called it it's a private group, but it's just basically gym services. I think I've called it North Brisbane or something like that. So that way I wasn't sort of discriminating against anyone. So I was just going to the closest person that's near me, so that if I see something, and then vice versa, because the more we're using the word gym, the more they're going to think of gym, and then they can associate it, and then it comes back to us and we get more leads out of it.
Yeah, I love it. It's a fantastic idea what you did, and that's a really, really good. I'm going to use that example at training, and I'll quote that you've done that because it's a good one. Because it's a good one because we obviously, training, we promote, we tell people to do exactly what you've done, which is fantastic to do it. And how much work do you think you picked up out of those groups, or you picked up a couple of leads a week?
I would say that I get probably 50% of the work that I've been getting has been through Facebook.
Love it.
Yeah, a lot. And even today, a lady who owns a swim school, she automatically thought of me, so she tagged me on, and I'm like, I've never met this lady at all. She did ask if I wanted to come and teach for her because she saw my ad. She was like, "Do you want to come do some teaching?" I'm like, "Well, no, because I just started a gym." But yeah, and so she's just like, she tagged me because somebody was looking for a full person this morning, and I'm like, "That's great. That's what we want to see. We want to see people thinking about us."
Now, in your posts that you do in the groups, Sarah, in the local group, what sort of thing are you posting? You're always posting an image. What are you posting in those groups? Because you said a good thing about not going too overboard with it. So what's your actual post that you do? And maybe just give some examples of how you interact in the group as well.
So I've individually contacted each of these people and asked them if they're happy to join the group. Most people are, and I don't make them feel like if they're not active on social media, I don't make them, I'm like, look, if you don't want to be on there or whatever, that's fine, but I'll happily post and tag you. But basically, I just screenshot the person request or whatever they've put on the group so they can see what group the person's from and their name. And then I post that into our private group, and that allows the person to see the name and the group it's come from.
Yep.
And then the person that's associated to that field can go and DM that person. Awesome. Or join that group and follow it or whatever.
Amazing advice. And what about when you post in the general group? So let's say the Burp and Go local group. What are you posting in that group? Are you posting an image of yourself with a bit about what you do, or how do you go on those?
I particularly use Canva because it's free and they do look quite professional to make up the little promos with. And yeah, so I make little promos up on there. With school holidays coming, I did a school holidays one with the lead up for that. We went warm really early as well up here. Like 3 weeks ago, we were in our 30s. And so I did one like, it's getting really hot, just reminding people for that. And then I have one at the moment where it's just telling everyone what services I offer. They're all very general. So I don't they never have like my own mobile number or anything like that on there. But The reality is the person can DM me if they want to contact me directly, or they just ring the 131 number.
Awesome. And how regularly do you post in those groups?
Usually I'm posting at this stage. Most of them have said that it's fine to do a business post at least once a week. Some of the newer ones that I've just recently joined, they only allow it once a week or once a month. Yep. But you just got to be careful that you follow the rules, because otherwise the group's going to get really annoyed with you and then they're going to kick you off.
And how many groups are you a part of, you reckon? Is it like 20 or something, or how many?
Oh, yeah, it would be. I've joined like every group imaginable. And then I was already, because like I said, I worked for all the council pools previously and I used to do the marketing for them, and I had never gotten off those groups. So I was already on like you're down there, but I'm up here in Brisbane. And so up there's Burpengary, but then all of the suburbs that I grew up and had worked around Burpengary. It wasn't anything new for me in that sense. And so like I have like all the groups that I'd worked, like I used to work for Poolsack in North Lakes and Launton and all that sort of thing. So for me, it was like, I'm just going everywhere. So I also, if I see one for anyone in another person's territory, I always take a screenshot and I will send them the message as well so that they know that there's a job there, because I just think that's the right thing to do.
No, it's fantastic. No, it's a great example of what you're doing, and it's a really powerful tool on Facebook. People are more used to engaging with tradies and small businesses on Facebook now directly as opposed to Google. So it's a really good source of work. And it's great to hear that you're using it, because it's something we're trying to encourage other franchisees to use. And we're actually got a proposal in the manual for a manual change coming up soon to do outbound and all this sort of stuff. So
okay, cool.
It's great to hear you say that, because it's about keeping franchisees busy. And if you're generating 50% of your business daily from Facebook, it's quite an amazing tool for you as well. And
yeah, definitely.
It's amazing. I was going to say
it's so much cheaper than when you're first starting out and you don't have a lot of fun.
Exactly.
It's just
time. It's just literally time to make the post in Canberra, as you said, and I've always thought for franchisees, I don't know how many groups like this, but like advice videos and stuff. I've seen a few of them popping up down here where people might be like a pest controller, for example, and they might go and look at the base of something and put that in the group. Not a plug for their business, but just saying, be aware in this area, for example.
Yeah.
And try and provide advice, and that way it's more of a general sort of soft sell as well.
Awesome advice. Yeah, definitely.
But it's great what you said. I was going to say as well, how are you enjoying the work? So how are you been?
I'm really loving it. It's very fun. I'm loving being out on the road and getting to use my hands and get on the tools and everything. It's good fun.
Are you working the business with your husband as well? So he has a vehicle, or how are you doing it all?
No, it's just me.
Just you. Fantastic.
Yeah. So I get to be what I'm told. I'm the first female in Queensland. So yeah.
Yeah, I think there's not enough females in the pool care division, which I was really keen to have you on, because I've interviewed a lady in building inspections the other day as well. Generally, most blokes in the division, but I think you guys have such an advantage dealing with the homeowners as well. I think a lot of homeowners, obviously, you might deal with it. Are more of your customers female than men?
Actually, I've had more males than females.
Oh, okay, right.
But that's just so fun. Like I said, I'm only in my 6th week. Yeah. They seem to be very quick to warm up to me and talk to me, so that's been really nice. But that's been an experience I've always had. I've never been I like talking to people, so yeah.
And have you found the actual doing the job itself, because there's obviously a lot of chemicals, a lot of calculations, all that sort of stuff. How's the training held you in good stead for that?
Training's been awesome, and the network's really good. So if I get stuck or something like that, there's always someone there that's able to assist. Even the suppliers are really great. Like, I had a couple of stains on some pools, and I'd rung the supplier to talk about what products, because I had my sort of starter pack, and I was like, well, what would you recommend of what I bought in the car to this stain? I went and tried that stuff, and he was like, that's okay. On your next visit, I'm coming out too. So he's coming out with me to join me next month at this person's house. And I'm like, that's awesome that we get to have that relationship with them.
And how's the support from your franchisor been? Who's your franchisor actually?
I've got
Chris Pepper, yeah. I've interviewed Chris.
Oh, and he's great. Yeah, he's been really supportive, really helping in lots of different ideas and stuff like that, which is really good as well.
Absolutely. And how satisfying is it to rescue a green pool? Have you done a green pool rescue?
I have done a green pool.
Yeah.
And it's good. It is very satisfying indeed. I like it when it was Monday. There was I went to this family's home, and it was all toddlers, and they're standing there at the gate because they're so keen to get in the pool, but Dad hadn't done any. He just left the pool for a winter. And and he's like, they're all standing there, and I'm like, it kind of went cold at the beginning of this week, and so I'm like, I know today it's warmed up, so they'll be right to jump in today. But I was like, it's so nice to know that I've provided that for them so they can get in and have a good time. So that was nice.
Absolutely. I was going to say as well, it's mobile pool shops as well for the division. So selling products and stuff, how have you gone with that? Or
I'm still getting my head around that side of things. I have sold things in my career, but it's just because it's such a broad of what you're doing. Because it's like you do the chemicals, you do heating, you do pumps, you do everything pool, and so it's just trying to make sure that you're sort of knowledgeable, I guess, in every single element it's a lot to take in. So, yeah.
Because there's something where, so I've done a few videos with the pool care guys, and they used to speak a lot about the robots. Is there something where every pool owner should have a robot or should consider it, or what would you sort of say to them from that perspective?
They need to have some sort of vacuum, but it's working out with them what their budget is like, and then also what their filtration and things is going to work best for them. You come to them and they're literally just going to leave their vacuum in the pool all the time. I'd probably recommend a robot over the other options, just because I'm like, well, at least then the filter can still do what it's meant to do. It's not going to be blocked by you leaving a pipe sticking in it. But yeah, it's just, you've got to get a feel of I like to get a feel of the customer and sort of understand what they're like, and then go, okay, this is what you're like. Let's be realistic. There's no point. Yeah. So yeah, that's just me, but I'm still getting to learn them all and stuff.
And how many customers do you have at the moment?
So far, I think I have 8 regulars, and then I've had just one-offs and things like that. Hopefully they'll turn over and things like that.
Yeah, awesome. We've only been going for 6 weeks, so it's very early days, but have you been happy with the revenue and stuff that you've been doing, or?
I definitely think it's been a little bit more, but it's not the end of the world. It's growing, it's definitely growing, and we're seeing an increase. But also with the pool industry, we've just come into September, so it's getting into the warmer months, where I started in August. So yeah, it's got to take all that into consideration as well.
Yeah, you have a lot of people calling up what things done straight away, and you're going to have to be then trying to fit people in, and it's quite...
Yeah, and that'll be interesting, and having to juggle the schedule and things like that, which will be interesting. But yeah.
Is there anything you found a bit, maybe a bit difficult doing your business? Has there been one aspect of it that's been a bit difficult in regards to maybe, is it just different types of jobs, or what's been difficult?
It was probably, and this will sound so, I grew up in a household where my mum believed that girls do girls' jobs and boys do boys' jobs. So I'd never played around with tools very much. And so for me, it was like, okay, I got to look like I actually had a drill in my hand and not going to shake with it or whatever and stuff like that. And so I needed to really get it in practice and not get freaked out when you push the buzzer. And I know that sounds really stupid, but it was just that is the household that I grew up in. And so I was like, and now mum's like all supportive of it, and she's just like, oh, it's really good that you do this, and I'm like, cool. But I get a thrill from using the tool. I think it's fun, but I just haven't had that opportunity because it wasn't something that did.
Yeah.
But yeah.
For sure. And I was going to say, with your business, what are you planning to do? Is it just build the red customer base or get through the first summer, or what your plans moving forward?
What we want to do is basically we have like a 3-year sort of plan where I will build it up to, hoping that over 2 years I can get it to 100 clients. And with 100 clients, that's pretty much a person having enough of regular clients. Because then you have extras and things like that. And then people that would just like need extra things, like if they need a pump replace and things like that, which adds extra to your income and that sort of thing. But yeah, so basically over the next 2 years, get to that 100 mark. And then my husband being able to come in. So he has electrician trade behind him. And so we were hoping that he comes and, jumps in, and then we get 2 people on the road.
I'm sure you do it quicker. I guarantee you do it quicker, Sarah.
I hope so, but yeah.
I reckon you'll be very busy, and it's great to hear that you're doing all the marketing things from an online perspective. I think it's fantastic how proactive you are with that, and it's quite impressive because it's, as you said before, it's such a low cost thing. It just takes your time and having a bit of a go and interacting on those platforms, and it's great to hear that you've generated nearly 50% of your work from that, because we're literally going to. After this, I'm writing up a manual clause at the moment to put to referendum to sort of change around so that franchisees can use groups, because different divisions do different things. But I think it's an amazing thing that you've done. I'm really impressed with it.
Oh, thanks.
Maybe what advice would you give to, let's just outline a little bit of a roadmap. So franchisee, let's say it's any division in gyms, how would you sort of say to them, we spoke about at the start, but how would you sort of say to them to use groups? What's the best way to use groups without getting, let's say, booted out or being too salesy? Or what do you find is the most effective thing? Is it, let's say, joining a lot of them at the start, plus surrounding suburbs and maybe a weekly post in each, or what would your plan be?
Obviously make sure you read the rules of each group.
Yep.
Be prepared to be active in the group. That's a really important thing, because they don't want to just see you once a week posting your business post. Yeah, otherwise you are going to get booted from the groups. So yeah, it's important to, and again, it gets your name out there anyways. It might mean that you have to sit there half an hour in the evening and half an hour in the morning, as you're having your coffee or whatever, and you have to check all the posts on each page. But you usually will find there might only be around about 10 to 15 on each page that you actually have to scroll through for each day. So you just scroll down that first 15, check that there's anything. And even if it's just like you're liking something just for the sake of having it look like you did something, then that's all that matters. And then,
it's a really good point about, you said, that interacting on other people's posts and stuff. That works for all platforms. And if you interact for 20 minutes or 15 minutes, leaving some comments and stuff, and then you go and post, your post will generally get more interacted with or get more reach as well. Yeah. So it's a really good point what you made about that, to sort of have that giving attitude in a social media context. Not only that, but in networking as well. But it's a really good advice. Cool. So I'm going to leave it there, because I know you're busy on the side of the road, and I don't want to leave you put on your next job. We appreciate you taking the time to do this. It was really great to have a female on Jim's Pool Camp. I think you're the first female franchisee we've interviewed. It's generally been bloke, so it's great to have you on. Oh. And it's great to hear that you've done so well at the start already, 6 weeks in, and doing really well. It's fantastic to hear. So thank you very much for your time today, Sarah. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
It's lovely to meet you. Sarah.
You too. No worries. See you. Thank you for listening to the episode of the Gyms podcast. If you want to learn more about the Gyms Group, head to gyms.net or call us on 131 546 Australia or 0800 454 654 New Zealand. And if you did like the episode as well, please make sure you leave a review or a comment, or a thumbs up or a comment on the video as well. We appreciate your support. And until next episode, we hope you have a great week.